I'm Mary Kiddo Day, and I just recently graduated from Framingham State University. I played basketball there all 4 years, and I was a captain the last 2. And we actually just won the MASCAC championship for our league for the first time in school history, so that was pretty special. I definitely wanted to stay local. I'm a pretty big homebody, and I also just liked the idea of my parents coming to as many games as they could, so I knew that if I went somewhere close, they'd be able to go. I always wanted to play college basketball ever since I could remember. I have loved sports, especially basketball. I've just always had I've always been drawn to it for some reason over any other sport, and I've just put so much work and effort into it over the years. So I definitely knew that I wanted to continue playing after high school. Other than that, I played AAU, but it wasn't on any prestigious elite AAU team or anything. So I think that kind of put me at a little bit of a disadvantage in the recruiting process, just because of how small my town and my high school is. Nobody really knows or has ever heard of it. But as for the recruiting process, my Coach Pascal actually saw me at a summer league game when I was a sophomore. He was there recruiting somebody else actually. So he knew who I was, and then once it was time that he could legally talk to me as a coach, he had me come on campus, and I just instantly felt a connection with him, which was the biggest thing for me. I just like the fact that he said, yes, I'm here to win games and I want you to be a successful basketball player, but more importantly, you're here for your 4 years and I want them to be the best 4 years of your life. So the fact that he was more concerned about my future and my life in general, not just basketball, is really what made me want to go to Framingham. I personally think what I did was I didn't try and do too much, and I think that's when it's a big turnoff for a lot of coaches, is when people try and do too much. I've always been that type of player to try and include my teammates as best as I could. I've been told many, many times from just about any coach that I've ever had, I need to be more selfish, but I really just try to include everybody in my team, whether it be just trying to get them involved and passing to them if it's at the end of the game, or just making sure that they feel involved in the sport. Because in my high school, a lot of the people that I played with were athletes. Basketball wasn't their main sport. So I tried to make sure that I made them feel comfortable, and I made them make sure that they enjoyed their time playing basketball, because it's not really a fun time if you're miserable playing on the court. So I think what really helped me the most was I just had that extra experience under my belt. We only had one senior on the team my junior year, so I think Coach felt like she needed help with being people underneath her. And I just really think that that extra experience of forcing me to talk. I know I've always been a pretty soft-spoken person, but that was one thing that Coach was like, you got to just start talking. So knowing that I really didn't have a choice but to speak and have my voice heard as a captain. So I think that helped me get out of my shell. And then obviously it just carried over into this year. My freshman year, my first semester, I was put into effective speaking, it's called. So it was just literally the whole class was a public speaking class. And I went to him and I expressed how nervous I was and how anxious I felt about it, just because I don't like talking in front of people. And he's like, no, you have to do this. You don't have a choice. You're staying in this class. So he definitely knew from the beginning that I need to break out of my shell. And so he just constantly would be on me about it. And yeah, it would get frustrating, but it definitely worked out for me in the long run. I'm definitely much better at talking to people than I was before I got into school. So it's just growing up really is what it was. For one, it was in our home court, and I've never seen a gym more packed, especially for a women's game. But in general, we always had a good following from not only our parents, but also the students. We had a great, the athletes would come to our games, and just the student body would come to our games a lot too. But there was thousands, over 1,000 people at that game in a pretty not so big gym. So the atmosphere was just insane. And it was something that I'll never forget, or probably never even feel again, being on a court, obviously, because I'm done. But it was just something that I really, truly will never forget. And also just the championship game playing in it, it was I kind of had an out-of-body experience, because I was all right, this is my last shot. We're never going to get to here again. So I really got to do everything in my power to get this win. And I felt at the end of the game, I really didn't remember much of what happened. So I literally watched the game the next day because I was like, I was just so in a different, like I was in a different zone than I ever have been before. So it was pretty cool, just like experiencing new things that I never had before, which was awesome. Before that, all my 4 years, my coach had always talked about, he'd been there one time before to the NCAA tournament. He had always talked about how like it was the best best thing you'll ever experience. So we all had this we were all super excited to be going there. I think we all wished it had been a little farther away because like it's always fun to stay in a hotel with your team, especially with D3 athlete. We don't do it very often like D1 athletes do. So some of your best memories are made in the hotel rooms after the games or before the games when you're just hanging out with everybody. But we were all super psyched about it. We knew it was going to be a great time. We had a lot of people coming because it was so close. A lot of the students were coming along with their parents, so we knew that it wasn't going to be a one-sided thing like it could have been. But then we had our shoot-around. I can't remember what time. I think it was around noon. We had our shoot-around. It was an hour and a half. And in the last 10 minutes, my coach said when he was at Fitchburg and they had gone there, he said that he let them play knockout just to end it on a light note. And so we were in the middle of our knockout game, and coach called us over, and you can tell he was like visibly upset. And he said, "You need to go call your parents. There's no spectators allowed." And so this was, I think, 3 hours or 4 hours before our game. So most of the parents were getting ready to go because it was like an hour and a half, 2 hour commute for everybody. And obviously we need to get there early. So we all were just instantly like, first of all, we were in disbelief. And then it really hit in when you call your parents and they were super upset, especially because for the 3 seniors, we knew it was basically our last ever game because the team that we were playing was the top seed in the bracket. So for that to happen, it just really took the wind out of our sails. Like it really just hit you in the gut hard, and there was nothing you could do about it, which was the worst part. But we tried to make it as positive of an experience as we could, but we knew that it wasn't the same as what it should have been. So it really just was pretty crappy situation. Just because the classes were so small at Framingham, I actually had classes with a lot of athletes. So just through that, I became friends with a lot of people on different teams. And yeah, just like sitting in the athletic department, just like saying hi to any person that I had known or met, just kind of like making that connection with different teams. I think that definitely helped us. I think it's also huge just to be like a smiling face on campus, because a lot of times people are having pretty rough days. Obviously, as you know, college is tough and it's hard to get through sometimes. But I always just try to make sure that if I knew somebody, I would always make sure just to say hi, because there's always that awkward encounter and people don't say hi back. But yeah, just I don't know. I felt like I just liked being somebody that people like knew that they could talk to if they needed to, or just to say hi to, honestly. I believe it was my athletic director told me that, this would be a great opportunity for you to get some volunteer hours. It's just like a very positive experience. It's always good to give back to your community, obviously, especially for people like the kids that are being helped in Special Olympics. I think that, so my teammates, I know a bunch of my teammates did it, but it wasn't really like, we didn't have a team. It wasn't mandatory for our team to do it. It was just like spread out throughout the campus that this is going to be happening, so we all just signed up. But my job when I volunteered that day was to be, what do they call it? I was basically in charge of, I had one group and I was like in charge of getting them to each station that they needed to be at on time. I think they call it like a group leader or something like that. But it was a super positive experience. I tried to talk to the young athletes as best as I could. Obviously they had disabilities, so some of them were more distant from me than others just because I was a stranger. But yeah, I just tried to make it as positive of an experience as it could be, because they deserve to have that great day. And yeah, overall it was such a great experience to see the kids' smiling faces, and just to be a part of it, honestly, was and I'd never been a part of it before, so it was definitely new to me. And I actually had such a positive experience that I wanted to apply to work there because it's not that far away from the house. The headquarters in Massachusetts. But obviously the coronavirus, they haven't posted their job openings or anything. So we'll see where my future goes with that. But that was what I had wanted to do. That was my initial plan after graduation. But an older brother that was in college, and I also had a younger sister who would be coming into college. When I was a sophomore, when I was a junior, she started college. So I think I definitely got more financially than a lot of my other teammates did. But at the same time, Framingham State is a very reasonably priced school in the sense that compared to other schools, it's not like I'm paying $60,000 a year to go there. So I think that definitely helped. As far as the application process went, I knew I wanted to go to a state school for that reason, because I knew that it wasn't necessarily reasonable for me to go to a school that cost a ton of money. And I think it would have been ideal had I been able to get an athletic scholarship in some way. That would have been nice, which is obviously a downfall of playing D3 sports, but it is what it is, I suppose. I applied to Framingham and just Western State. Both my parents had gone to a state school, so I think that I just I didn't really have much interest going to a big school, and that's why I think I led more towards going to state schools. I'm Mary Kidda Day. I recently graduated from Framingham State University, where I played basketball the past 4 years, and I was a captain for the last 2 years. And we actually just recently, in February, won the MASCAC championship for the first time in school history. My advice would be mostly, if they want to play in college, to get as much film together as they could from over the years. I think that definitely helps, because then they can show the coaches all of everything that's good about their game. I also think it's important to, going along with that same thing, get as much exposure as possible. So whether that be going to different camps or attending different showcases or just sending your film out to all these different coaches where it gets around, whether that coach doesn't want you or not. I'm sure that if, say you sent your film to a D2 school and they didn't think that you were good enough or whatever, I think coaches talk to each other. So I think it's always valuable to be able to get your name out as much as possible. I also think it's super important to never give up. So if you want to do something, always strive to be able to do it, and to always work hard. I think that working hard and having good character is a huge thing that a lot of college coaches look for. So yeah, that would be my big advice to any young athlete, is just to get as much exposure as you can at however old you are.